we kind of started this process. And certainly, I've been very impressed with the support, the alignment that we have here with Dr. Savoy and Dr. Maggart and several others throughout the university community. Large majority of our time has been dedicated to adding quality people to this organization. I think this pertains both to the football team that we have and certainly the coaching staff and the support staff, I would say as well. Today being National Signing Day, we're here to celebrate the young men that chose the University of Louisiana. They chose our team, they chose our family, they chose our organization, and they believed in us, and certainly we believed in them. We're excited about this group of young men and getting a chance to know their families and what we saw in each one of those young men, and certainly getting to know their families was a big part of that. And I would say this, we're not done. You know, we've got a few pieces to the puzzle left. We're certainly excited about the challenges that come with that over the next couple months. But for the most part, we're very pleased with what happened today and how today went. You know, this class in general will always be special to this staff just because it was the first. We firmly believe we answered a lot of critical needs in this group. And also, we've been able to add some quality long-term depth to our roster that's really going to help us sustain as we go forward in the future. I think there's some great stories if you really start digging into this group of players that are going to be written here in the future and are going to be exciting to watch. We're certainly excited to work with them, grow with them, develop them, help them pursue their goals and their dreams. And I would say this to you, it's exciting to me to kind of see this organization come to life, probably the last 4 weeks in particular, as our players have gotten back into town and we've started implementing our program with the off-season program and Coach Hockey and his staff. I've seen daily improvement each day I've been here in the entire organization. We're in the very beginning stages. We've got lots of work to do. But today was a great step in the right direction. And certainly one of the things that's a big deal to me, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this. I think some of the biggest recruits that we've been able to acquire has been the staff that we've put together. I think we've got a quality group of people, a great team, complementary gifts, complementary talent, but also have the same vision and are very like-minded in their approach. So we're excited about taking this challenge on together. There's so many people that have helped us as we've, been on the road, as we've invited these families into town for official visit weekends. There's too many to probably list. They know who they are, and certainly at some point, I'll make a point to reach out to all those people, but I want to say thank you personally to all those people that helped us. So, great day for the University of Louisiana, and we're excited about this group. With that, we'll open it up for questions.
You always want your JUCO transfers and your grad transfers to be the guys that can contribute right away, obviously. But even beyond them, and understanding you haven't even started spring yet, but are there a couple that you've identified that maybe can make an automatic difference from the get-go?
Well, I think there was one of the things we did early when we got here is we assessed the current roster. What's the makeup of the roster? What's the scholarship situation at each position? What is the talent level at each position? And where do we need to go to fix some of those things? Not necessarily with a quick fix approach, but hey, let's be competitive next year. And there were some positions that I think we needed to go get some players, and I think we did that today. So one of the things that I would say to you about junior college players, and I'm excited about the guys that we signed that are JC players. They're 4 for 3 eligibility-wise. They're 3 for 3 eligibility-wise. So we didn't go take a guy that's just going to be around here for a short time. We want to build our team with high school football players. But certainly when needed, we're going to go get a JC player that can fix a critical need for the team to be successful the next season. We did that with the JC players that we took in this class.
You know, based on when you hired, right before the holidays, and having to bring the family here, do you know when, can you give us an approximation when you actually started recruiting?
Well, I think that, one of the things I told somebody earlier today, a lot of the young people in the building, the grad assistants, the quality control people that joined us right out of the box, or were really, maybe they were here before, we really put a lot on their plate. There's twofold for me. I can evaluate them and what type of worker they are, get an insight into how they think, and then also they did a lot of work for us. So we basically right out of the box said, okay, let's get the 30% of the players that are left in the country. Really, we zeroed in on the 6-hour radius and also the JCs and said, okay, what's left out there? Let's evaluate them by area. We kind of divvied that out, over some of the time when I went back. We did a lot before, then I went back and did Christmas in Arizona with the family. Then when we got back together, then we'd add a coach here or there, and we kind of just grew. So, man, I'd think back to the beginning there. We've done a lot of work, just in terms of, adding personnel, coaches, quality control people, recruiting staff, full-time coaches, and then also, these 16 players that we added today. So it's been a lot of fun, but at the same time, a lot of strategy and a lot of thought went into a lot of these things.
Was everything focused on just this season, or were you able to talk to people and maybe make offers in the future as well?
Well, we really dedicated most of our time to securing this class. I think that the strategy here, I think, is a little bit different than maybe it is some other places, just relative to getting out and starting early and all that. I think that really you've got to take into account who you are and who you want to be, and how the recruiting food chain necessarily how does that work relative to the signing day. So we focused on this class. We'll start working on the 19 group when we get back after a break on the 15th.
How did it feel just kind of in the gut when you lost the two that you did? And is it almost kind of a little bit of mixed feelings in terms of they're getting picked off, but they're getting picked off by SEC programs?
Well, I told somebody, I said, unique day, we kind of woke up the last 2 days knowing we were going toe-to-toe with SEC West team. So kind of used to that, but it had a little different logo on my chest. But I would say this, I think it's a credit to what our staff had done. We'd put ourselves in position. We gained commitments from guys that I thought were really good players. And certainly, I hate to say this, but hopefully we're in this situation a lot, But I think, it tells you a little bit about what type of staff we put together, the type of relationships that they can build, the type of evaluators that we have. And if you go back and look at those situations, we were early, and we kind of were there at the right time. So it's kind of, good and bad to some degree. But we're going to coach the guys that are here and the guys that chose to come here, and certainly respect both those young men. They're both great young men and really good families.
Coach, correct me if I'm wrong. I think you guys have 15 of the possible 25 signed as we sit here talking. Do you anticipate any more names coming across today, and will you seek to fill out the next 10 spots and get up to the 25-man class before the season?
Well, we're actually at 16, and we only had 18 initials. Okay, so 7 of the 25 initials were used previously, so we were capped at 18. So I think we'll take there's lots of strategies as to how we can use the 2 initials that are left over. And certainly we'll look at all the avenues to use those 2 initials, whether that's to, my philosophy in the very beginning was to save a couple and keep a couple in the back pocket. We had some really good players committed that ended up going elsewhere. So That being said, we're kind of where we thought we wanted to be. So I'm excited to see who's left out there and what we can do to get good players.
No quarterback coach in this class and coming in as late as you did, I think that's understandable, but does that say something about the level of confidence you have in the guys that are on campus already?
Well, I think we've got 6 quarterbacks on scholarship, which is really more than you'd like to have. You know, typically we'd like to have 4 or 5 guys, and typically we'd like to take at least 1 quarterback a year. But relative to the needs that we had and the number of initials that we had left, felt like the better thing to do would be just to coach the guys that we have. And certainly, you know, we made 25 play profile tapes on every player on our returning team and evaluated what we had. And I certainly think we've got quarterbacks that can play winning football here, and I'm excited to work with those guys and coach those guys.
Coach, you mentioned need. Do you feel like with the 16, you've taken care of the need, and the 2 would be more lanyard later or whatever?
No, I mean, I think that we answered a lot of the critical needs. But at the same time, you know, some of those that got away, heck, you know, it is what it is. You love to have them, right? So, but, you know, one of the things I think that you learn in this profession is a lot of these values that you promote to your players, you know, about the intangibles and the approach that you want them to take relative to competition. It applies to yourself as a coach and a recruiter. I kind of see recruiting as a season within itself. You know, going back to my time as an assistant, it's competitive. I would compare it to outside sales if you know, it's similar to that to some degree. It's as cutthroat of a competition as there is in athletics. So I think we've got to respond to adversity. We got to be resilient. We've got to continue to give good effort and be disciplined in our approach. Be tough-minded, and when things do go array to some degree, we've got to respond the right way and keep working.
You mentioned the 50 or so days you've been here at UL. What was the biggest challenge on the recruiting trail with having such a small window to get a whole class together?
Those were the challenges. So you answered the question for me. Short amount of time, 30% of the talent was left. Not to mention that you're basically a one-man team until you add another, and then you add another. So you're short-handed. Didn't necessarily have relationships with this pool of players to some degree, and then got a short window. So all those things were the issues. But I'll say this, we talked about it as a staff, you know, if we could just go back 18 months and say, hey, if we got that guy, would we be happy? And all these young men that are on this list, we'd be happy with them. So I think it's a little bit of a lesson to be learned in general about what should the strategy and approach be at a place like this.
Coach, how big of an impact is it that to be coming in late like you did and then have the new rule where you have the early descent? You keep talking about 30%, which is the reality of how big of an impact did that as opposed to any other year that you would have taken this job?
Well, I mean, it's a totally different ballgame. I mean, there's obviously, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, there's 30% of the talent pool was left over. But like I just said, we're excited about the group we got. I think even if we started from the beginning, we'd be pleased with the players that signed today.
What's your just general philosophy on blue shirting, especially with the restrictions being a little bit tighter?
Well, we'd like to avoid those situations as much as possible. You know, you really like to have more initials than you do scholarships to give. You know, for a couple of years here, we're going to be on the reverse of that math problem. You know, we're going to have, you know, like, for example, even after this class, we're going to be nowhere near 85, if that makes sense. So in a perfect scenario, you go into each class and you have more initials than you do scholarships. Then you're always on the right end of the math problem. We're on the flip side of that. So we've got to get that in place. And you do that by sustaining, and you do that by preventing attrition. You know, you want to keep the players that you sign here, develop them, graduate them, you know, and certainly, you know, being able to sign mid-year guys will change that strategy. So we're going to try to avoid that, in my opinion, in the future.
Cordova and Johnson, both Acadiana kids. Is that a focus on how you plan to recruit and get some kids who are from, you know, within 45 minutes even?
Yeah, we're going to go to every high school this spring. We're going to evaluate every potential prospect in this state. You know, next week when we start on the 15th, we're not even going to worry about anything except for the Louisiana kids until we get done evaluating that pool. Then we'll move to kind of the bordering regions that can be important to us. So proximity would, you know, research would tell you proximity helps your ability to last, you know, your chances for success. I think it only makes sense for a place like this where there's tremendous pride in this place. And certainly it's going to help fill that stadium out there. If there's over time, there's a certain level of pride that's associated with playing at this place for this university in this state. So it certainly will be a big part of our strategy going forward. And we did a good job of that relative to what was left in this class.
Coach, I know so much of your job involves delegation, not only on the field but in recruiting. How comfortable do you feel delegating to, especially Tim Lacey as your coordinator?
Well, I think probably what was new to me was not getting to go back every week, you know. Maybe you meet the young man for the first time when he comes on the visit, or you go see him one time, you get that one opportunity. I'm sitting here saying to myself, my experience in the past would be I can get that guy, you know, but can't go back every week, you know. So that was probably one of the biggest struggles for me. But certainly what you learn is that it's important that you have staff that can go out there and build relationships and understands the game and understands what's important to recruit and to sign players. So we're fortunate that I think we've put together a great team in that regard. And certainly there's a lot of people that are new here. Ryan Treshell, Katie Turner, Josh Thompson. We've got several quality control people that work in recruiting. And they did a masterful job of getting a little bit better every week. So without a question, there's delegation that goes with all of this. And we've put people in place that I think are talented and can do a great job for us.
You mentioned the JC kids. Said one was a 4.43 and one's a 3.3.
Mm-hmm.
Manac is the.
Manac is 3 for 3.
Is it 3 for 3? Which is the 4 for 3?
Lorenzo McCaskill.
Castle. Okay, thank you. So Lumpkin's a regular. Yeah, 2 years.
Lumpkin's 3 for 3.
Oh, okay. So all 3 of them.
Yes.
Thank you.
And that was a big part of that decision for each one of those guys, knowing that they're going to be here a while. In particular, Lorenzo is here now, Johnny's here now, so those guys are really 3.5-year guys, 4.5, you know, basically 3.5-year guys, which is huge. You know, really the only guy that's going to show up in May, and we anticipate him being here in May is Chauncey.
Actually, just one other, specifically on the grad transfers, what do you expect contribution-wise from those two right away?
Well, we expect for them to compete and earn every snap that they're going to play here. Every player on this team has got a clean slate. It's going to be a very competitive environment, and they're going to get what they earn. So their contribution will be relative to how ready they are to do their job and if they're the best player to do their job. So, and that goes for everybody that walks in this building every day. So, but they wouldn't be here if we didn't feel like that they could help our football team.
Anything else? Thanks, Coach.
If you got something else, we're good. We can answer more if you got something else. Everybody good?